Tzvi Waldman is the founder of the New York Jewish Gun Club. He has made headlines recently because, number one, guns is a very hot topic in New York State, and he's been sending signs to businesses that say, we allow concealed carry permits in our establishments. So, Tzvi, it is great to have you here, and your movement in the last few weeks and months has really exploded.
Yeah, thanks for having me and giving me the opportunity to explain a little bit more in depth on what's going on here.
Yes, and I just want to mention, like, the irony where I think a lot of Democrats, like, let's say, Governor Hochul, believe that protecting businesses, banning concealed carry is a good thing for a business. And here you have, I believe, thousands of businesses who are asking you for signs because they know that, logically speaking, it makes their business more safe when they allow customers in, patrons in, who have concealed weapons as opposed to not allowing it.
You're correct. I think this is just a typical example of government being out of touch with what the people actually need. They have their agenda that they want to do, and they'll do it no matter what. If you look how this bill was passed, it was passed from when the text was released till it was passed. It was passed under 12 hours. There is a state mandatory 3-day waiting period that they waived due to an emergency, but the bill doesn't go into effect till September. So it's just another example, as if they didn't learn enough from COVID. Like, if you scathe the process of government, the side effects it could actually create. And this is just another example of them doing it all over again.
So incredible. And there are so many bills that they slow walk. I mean, look at bail reform, which people have been working on for years. And yet when it comes to this, suddenly they managed to make it happen in about 12 hours.
It's a knee-jerk reaction. They lost the case, and anybody who reads the ruling sees how clearly written it is and how wrong they are. And they're just at the last straw, trying to show their constituents that they're actually doing something about it. So this is exactly what it is. And it's sad and it's wrong that it's on the heels of other people's safety and security. It's not only this, the actual stores. If somebody has an unconstricted carry, meaning he has the ability to carry everywhere, if he's actually going to walk into shul, he's a felon. It's one thing, okay, you want to do whatever stores, but actually a shul where there have been stories of shuls being attacked. And that's just unconscionable.
Unconscionable, yeah, exactly. That's something that I wanted to ask you about. Exactly. I mean, here you have, multiple. We had Colleyville, Texas, obviously. And then, of course, there's Pittsburgh and Poway, and one after the next. And here we finally have a situation where you could basically have congregants. And I did notice an article recently that mentioned you that also quoted Rabbi Lankry, as well known from Shiners. And he essentially said they want us to hire outside security firms who are going to come in. Those people are not familiar with the congregants. Those people are not familiar with being able to discern, okay, who's a threat and who's not. We need congregants who are actually armed, sitting inside the shul or inside the kehillah, who are able to guard from within.
Right. It's not only that. You can even look at it a step further. First of all, according to this ruling, the Constitution gives you a right to self-defense. So there's no there's no reason why I need to outsource it to a armed guard. Second of all, there are literally hundreds of shuls. Okay. The big shuls, okay, you're able to afford it. It's expensive. It's like $60, $70 an hour, and you're talking about many, many hours over Shabbos. But to get a guard every single shul, I'm not sure even if there are enough security guards in the entire New York State to actually cover every single shul.
So based on your experience, because you're in the trenches, why are the numbers rising? Why are so many from Yidden suddenly getting turned on, buying guns in these higher numbers? And what do you feel? I know that you have certain things that you think that people need to be aware of and need to know, and families, how they can, I guess, use gun ownership in the proper way. So tell me about that.
So first, the reason why people are getting into ownership, it's a chain of, like, every month other stuff happen that more and more people want to do it. Like the simple example, the rise in crime, the riots in the summer, the pandemic, all this stuff caused uncertainty in people. And then the defunding of police. Then there was a court case somewhere where I'm not sure if the Supreme Court ruled it or some other court, or one of the circuit courts, but basically that police are not legally obligated to protect you. They cannot be held liable for it. So we see the whole demoralization of police and the rise in crime, then the bail reform that's going on. And there's been stories that where you were actually attacked or attempted to attack, it's a non-brainer for a lot of people. In terms of what people need to know, look, every person, I believe, has a right to bear arms. It's in the Constitution. But if you're gonna carry a gun because you want to protect other people in shul or other people in your community, you have to make sure you do it for the right reason and you have the right mindset to actually do it. So meaning when you put on the gun in the morning, like, think about it. Take a second, think about it, that, you're putting it on not because you want to be this aggressive guy, this macho, and you have a gun, you can do whatever you want. No, you have a burden, and, you don't want to have to actually take it out. Like, the last thing in the world you want is to have to use it. And it's something that you have to think about. And also regarding the safety, there's a taboo about guns, and rightfully so, because we have a history of us being oppressed through guns, and our grandparents, it was a sore topic for them, and understandably so. They had great suffering due to a gun, being able to
right,
actually forcing them into these situations. But I think as guns become more popular in America, and as the Supreme Court enshrined in the Constitution, that it's going to become more prevalent around us. So it's important for us to actually have these conversations with our children to take away the curiosity of it. The number one dangerous thing is if kids are curious. If kids are curious, they're going to figure out how to get into your safe, no matter how you lock it, no matter if it's unloaded, no matter how you store it. If there's a will, there's a way. The best way to do it is to have these open conversations with them, the same way they know not to touch a drill, not to touch a knife, not to go into your tool chest and take out your screwdrivers and other stuff that they can harm themselves. The same way they do not touch a gun. And when they are at the right age and they're able to like handle it, there are certain guns that you're able to get to rent and take them to range and teach them how to shoot the gun, so they are not curious. The worst thing is to have curious kids constantly trying to get an opportunity to to actually touch it, to check it out. One of the ways to do is when you actually clean the gun, when you clean the gun is safe, it's unloaded, do it in front of your kids. So make it a normal part of it's a normal activity. It's not a taboo. So they see it, they can touch it, they can feel it, but they have to know it's only done in under supervision.
That's actually a great point. I mean, you're saying essentially destigmatize it, treat it like anything else. I mean, look how many things in life we have that are very constructive, but very dangerous. Medicines, people have swimming pools. I mean, a car, the kid knows that you don't go anywhere near driving a car until you're the right age. And a car has a very, very good use, but a car is also dangerous. So like you say, the minute that you turn it into like this mysterious, dangerous, off limit thing, that the curiosity of the antenna goes up. I gotta check that out. I gotta get my hands on that. But if it's something which is just kind of a daily part of life, and you just kind of like treat it as just another thing that we keep around the house, that almost just demystifies.
Right. Yeah, that's 100% true. And I would say, the learning curve of learning to handle a gun is very similar to driving. Everybody remembers the first time they got into a car, they were nervous, and the same thing, like the first time you get a gun, you're going to be nervous, have somebody teach you how to handle it, and to load it and to unload it safely. The more you do it, the more comfortable, the more confident you'll get with it. Now, and the same thing is if you're carrying. Not everybody's going to carry right away one in the chamber, for safety reasons. As they get more comfortable, they'll, get more into it and more confident with it.
Right. Great points. Now, I'm curious about the gun club, which obviously you've had for several years. Do you ever, I want to hear some more details about it shortly, but do you ever get pushback from people who say, listen, we shouldn't be so focused on guns, like you said, because maybe of trauma from past history?
Look, I surround myself with having the gun club. The people that surround myself with are actually people that want to get into it. But I really have, I have people like that are like, whatever, okay, I don't have to interact with you. You are entitled to your own opinion. But I think today's days, anybody who understands history and sees the trend of governments, almost every single government that confiscated arms ended up in a dictatorship and in travesty. If you look at the communist Russia, China, there's countless trends in history that the minute you give up your guns, the next thing is full-blown communist or any other type of authoritarian regime. And more people have died under regimes who confiscated guns than with actually gun violence. If you want to make that claim.
Yeah, I think there are lately some more socialist countries. I don't know. I think Australia now, they're confiscating guns as a result of whatever issues that they've had. But yeah, that's a certain type of structure. Like you're saying, the United States, there's so many millions of guns. I don't think even the most extreme gun control advocate, I don't think believes that the guns are going anywhere. I mean, you're talking about literally millions and millions of guns.
America has a very interesting thing that other countries don't. It's that guns are in the Constitution, and it's there for a reason to check against the government and to be, you have to understand, if the government knows that the people have arms, they'll act differently to the people. They'll be more respected. One of the big gun writers, I don't remember his name, I think Jeff Cooper, he said a armed society is a polite society. Because when you have a gun and you walk around with it in the street, you have a certain poise that you have ability to inflict great harm, and you could become dangerous if you need to. And you walk around with a respect, like not to get into a scuffle. If somebody pushes you in the supermarket, you're not going to react because it could escalate into a dangerous situation. It has the reverse effect. It makes you very, very calm and very aware and very you are there as the last case. You don't want to get into a scuffle. You don't want, it's the last thing you want. It creates polite situations because everybody knows that, if somebody misbehaves, it could get very dangerous.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt said, talk soft to carry a big stick. That's the big stick. I did want to ask you about the signs because it's so fascinating to me, the response. Are you surprised? Did you expect there to be this big a demand for the signs that establishments are allowing concealed carry?
So a lot of conversations I had with store owners were at the beginning, they were a little bit hesitant. And the minute the store cleared out and they had a private moment, they were like, between me and you, I have guns in my house. But I don't want to hang it up in the store because I don't want to be political. I don't want to lose customers. And understandably so. Yeah. So we got into this conversation. I was like, and I was like, look, like they made it political. They forced our hand, and now we have to, say what, pick a political side, as they say. So I realized that the logo on the signs are a little bit too much in your face. Not every store owner is willing to hang up that one. So I have other ones that look a little bit more discreet, not that in the face, on their way, and that will Bez Hashem be going out as soon as they arrive.
Okay, that's amazing. I did want to ask you a little bit more about your club. Tell us about it. How many members? How often do you convene? I was thinking of asking about joining myself, so tell me about your club.
So the club, it's not the typical way a club is structured. I do this purely because I believe in it and my friends believe in it as well. And basically we created various groups on social media where people who are interested in guns, we put them in there. And we basically, any question that anybody has, like getting it, a permit process, which gun, where to get it, ammo, any question, a holster, they ask and we answer, we help each other out. And we put together various type of events, like depending on the need. Like I feel the pulse, and if I see there's a lot of people that are interested in a particular type of class, I'll get an instructor. I work with various instructors, and we'll arrange a class and finish. So it basically it's constantly developing. I constantly feel what everybody wants, what type of class, and the need of it, and we deliver. We have various instructors in various places where we go train, and we are evolving. There's a lot of other exciting projects that we're working on, and hopefully with time we'll evolve.
That's amazing. And you're growing, right? The membership.
Yeah, we are constantly growing. I'm trying to figure out how to keep the tight knit situation that we have, when we're bigger.
Right. That's always
we are figuring it out as we go along.
And my last question, and this is something that is a concern of mine, and I'm sure many people, we alluded to it earlier, but I just wanted to get your thoughts. Shuls and yeshivas and hard targets versus soft targets. And, sometimes I'll say to myself, a lot of them have these self-locking doors. Not all of them do. Some of them have guards. Some yeshivas have guards. The guards are not armed in my experience in many cases. And sometimes I'll say to myself that if you're creative, the amount of doors that are left open on the sides, it's very difficult. So it's not a question of, judging them. It's just more, is this something that could be taken more seriously? Is it just impossible for us to expect every facility, every shul, every yeshiva, to really be a hardened target? Or maybe this is something we need to focus on because chas v'sholom, the minute it happens, we suddenly think, why not?
Right. So at the end of the day, nothing will, when somebody starts attacking us in shul, whatever, if something happens, right, the fastest way is somebody else with a gun to drop him. Like what happened in the mall in
Yeah, just
Indiana.
happened. Indiana. Yes,
22-year-old, yeah, that guy was carrying the firearm under the constitutional carry. That means that if anybody who is legally allowed to own a gun in that state, because they're not a criminal or whatever, then they are allowed to carry a gun. And he was simply there with the mall, and he saw the shooting coming out of the bathroom. And from 40 yards, he engaged in the target and successfully dropped him within 15 seconds. So imagine if he wouldn't have been there, or if he wouldn't have the courage to actually do it.
Right.
So we would have another situation where there are dozens of people that are dead. Now, ironically, there's actually an article, I don't remember where it was, about a yeshiva in 5 towns that actually started training their staff members and spent thousands of dollars in training them. Wow. And then the state passed a law that you're not allowed to arm teachers in this school. Meaning, even if they're trained and if they are actually armed guards, if they are staffed by the school as a teacher, they are not allowed to act as an armed guard.
Amazing, and which makes no sense, obviously, if they themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. One of I forgot what shooting it was. There was so many shootings. One of the trials of one of the school shootings is actually ongoing now. So I read an article that within the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, I think it might be Parkland because the sentencing trial now is happening for Parkland.
Yeah.
Nicholas Cruz.
There's just so many. I don't remember all the details. I can't. I mean, if you live in it too much, it's not healthy. So no, right. It's crazy. So they actually passed 3 teachers that he shot. If one of them would have been armed, not only that, when he walked in, he told a student that was in his class the year before, something dangerous is about to happen, and he ran to call the teacher who was in charge of safety, and she came running and she was shot because she was not armed. Wow. It just comes to show you that at the end of the day, there's something else that the gun industry, the gun culture, is very saturated with equipment, with training, with methods, and for someone new, someone going into it, it might look overwhelming. Because there's so many companies pushing you products, coming up with new solutions for problems that don't really exist. Good point. It's like anything, it's like products for babies. Everybody's trying to come up with a solution for a problem that they think exists. The same thing is in the gun world. And when you look from the outside, it might look so overwhelming. There's so much to learn, so much to train. At the end of the day, it's easier than people think it is. And to say how hard it is to make teachers train, most of these teachers and most of civilians that are armed are actually better trained than the average cop. And that's I would say is probably a factor across the entire country than most of the cops. It's not that hard to become proficient with a firearm.
Interesting. Yeah. Look, I mean, millions of people, go to
and there's also
gun ranges.
And there are also programs that certain states have where they create a let's say, framework for such a program where the armed teachers, the school board has to approve it, and there are specific, I would say, guardrails in place to make sure the right people come. And it's very similar to when I sit down with Rabbanim and help them to get people in their killer armed and have them train as armed guards and and get insurance and everything else that's involved. It's picking the right person to do this type of thing is equally as important. It's not just you pick any teacher and tell them, here's a gun and go protect the school. If you find a teacher who is capable of doing it, or has prior experience, or grew up with guns, or has the capability to do it, those are the people that actually do it.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. So Tzvi Waldman, founder of the New York Jewish Gun Club. I want to tell you, I really admire, number one, what you're doing, and your approach to this, just speaking to you, is very serious, very responsible. To me, your hashkafa on this is spot on because, not that whatever my opinion is worth, but you're taking something constructive. You're taking something which could be so beneficial. You're looking to protect and defend Klal Yisrael, like you said, not turn it into some kind of game or, some kind of thing that we're doing for fun, but something that actually we are more responsible with and keep family safer with and avoid any possible danger. So I think that's wonderful. I wish you kol hakavod.
Yep.
Okay, Tzvi Waldman, founder, New York Jewish Gun Club on the Vin News Podcast.
Yeah, thanks.